I feel like all Arsenal fans, I feel like we're all in this place where we all kind of believe we're going to do it, but the nerves, the PTSD, the Naeem from the halfway line, the Robbie Fowler 5 minute hat trick, Michael Owen double in the FA Cup within 2 minutes, the Birmingham 2011 Cup final, the Galatasaray UEFA Cup final in 2000, the Dennis Bergkamp missed penalty in 99, the Ryan Giggs run in the same game in 99, the Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank goal at Ellen Road in 99. There's so much PTSD, and that is what leads to the anxiety in the stadium. But hello, Gooners. Welcome to the Arsenal Bloodline. I'm Elts. Thank you for joining me if you are. And if you are and you haven't done already, please subscribe, like, and share. This channel's content, it'll be greatly appreciated, of course. So, this is 24 hours after the 2-1 victory at the Emirates for the Arsenal over Chelsea. A game full of anxiety, full of nerves, and it showed. And this is where we are at the moment. 9 games to go. We are in the midst of the crunch time of the title race. This is kind of what everyone waits for, is this period now, the March, the April, and the May. Were we great? No, we wasn't. But I didn't think Chelsea were particularly great either. It's not like Chelsea came to the Emirates and dominated us and completely outplayed us. They didn't outplay us at all. And when you look in the first half, we had a lot of moments and opportunity to create real dangerous moments there. We didn't create any real opportunities, but we had opportunities to create opportunities, and the fluency wasn't there. So I can understand a lot of fans' frustration with what they saw. We couldn't string more than 3 or 4 passes together. Our counter-attacking, our transitioning is not great. Against Leeds, we scored a good counter-attacking goal. You saw Victor Gyökeres' first goal was the courtesy of a great transition. But it's never really materialised on a consistent basis this year. And yesterday was yet another example of the work that maybe Mikel has to do. Maybe it's down to recruitment. Maybe he doesn't have the players currently that know how to pick out those moments. But disappointingly, the final pass and the final decision making wasn't great, as it often hasn't been this season. I thought Chelsea scoring just before half-time was a sucker punch, and then I felt what that did is that kind of invigorated Chelsea. I felt before that, when we scored the goal, which I felt was deserved, I think we scored on around the 25th minute, between 25 and 30 minutes if we scored the opening goal, and I thought we were good value for that. We was in total control, and it felt like we could go on to score a second and maybe even a third. What happens is Chelsea get the corner, score from it, and then it deflates us and lifts them. In the second half, you felt the effect of that because they came out, they were the better team. We were a little bit on our heels. It was a lot like the Man United game, where we just couldn't see a lot of the ball in the first sort of 20 minutes, and it was worrying me. But then we started to wrestle the game back a little bit, and then we scored from the second set piece of the game for us. I don't know what Robert Sanchez was doing, to be honest with you, but he was all over the place, flapping at thin air. And luckily for us, Jurriën Timber was in the right place at the right time. And I thought Jurriën was really good yesterday. Despite, aside from the goal, I thought he was really good. I thought our best players yesterday were defensive. Again, I thought Gabriel and Saliba were solid. And obviously they combined very well for the opening goal. I thought Hincapié was really good. And Hincapié, I have to give a shout out to him, because at first, his first few performances for Arsenal, I wasn't really sure what we'd signed. But now I'm seeing a really solid left back. I still feel like there's more to come from him going forward, and we're seeing it just drip by drip. But I feel like we've got a really solid left back there, and a left back that's actually managed to Ricardo Caliafore. And prior to Caliafore's injury, I just didn't think that was possible, because Caliafore was playing so well. Now no one's even mentioning Caliafore, respectfully, because Hincapié is playing so well. I do feel if we are to go on to win this title, though, the defence needs some helping out from the attackers. Again, yesterday, the attack was the letdown for me. You know you're always going to get a 7 out of 10 from Declan. You know that 9 times out of 10, or maybe 8 times out of 10, you're going to get a good performance. But the front 4, and I'm going to include the number 10 in this, has been a massive letdown for us this season, whether it's been Eberechi Eza or Odegaard. Both of them have underperformed this season. I feel like Saka, I don't know what it is with Bukayo this season, but that is not the Bukayo Saka that we are accustomed to seeing. He still holds the ball up well. He still displays his strength. He's still very technically sound on the ball. But in terms of being that final third threat, not seeing enough of it from Bukayo. And again, yesterday, he was just okay for me. Leandro Trossard, who a lot of us was hailing as being, the most prominent forward that we had so far in the season, that's no longer the case for me. He's now just gone back to being Trossard. It's like if you play him enough from the start, he'll just go back to status quo Trossard, which is sometime-ish. Martinelli looking brilliant off the bench, which he did. He looked really, really good, really lively, and obviously it was his run down the line which contributed to Pedro Neto getting sent off, and obviously Arsenal gaining a massive advantage. Victor Gyökeres, again, 1 week he's hot, 1 minute, the next week he's cold. I thought he was cold yesterday. He had a couple of opportunities to isolate the defender and shift the ball like he did against Spurs in the opening 10 minutes there. And then, he hit the shot which went just wide. But he kept tripping over himself, losing the ball when he tried to take players on. It was kind of Gyökeres from last year. So, yeah, I do feel like, the front four need to arrive. And they're leaving it very, very late, but they've got to help out the defenders. It's all very well and good everyone's saying, oh, but we keep on retreating. But the defenders are doing their job. Yeah, the best defending is going forward. And if the attackers ain't doing that, what can the defenders do? I feel a little bit sorry for the back line at points this season. Eza, for me, after his heroics against Spurs again last week, not good enough for me. Didn't see enough of the ball. Kai Havertz came on and I thought he looked more convincing than Gyökeres did in about 10 minutes. So I feel like the attack needs to pull its pants up. In terms of the way we play, it's been a bugbear of mine all season. Are we boring? At times we are. I believe we are. But do I care? Not really. As long as we keep on winning games, I don't care about it. It's something that you address later on when we've actually won the league. Then we can worry about how pretty we look next season. This season's all about just getting the job done for me. The set piece thing, the rivals crying, it's all very pathetic to me. I can't even be bothered to entertain it too much, No one else has a problem with set pieces when they're scoring them. Liverpool have scored almost as much set pieces as us. What a lot of fans fail to realise is that we've scored the most open play goals in the league this season, aside from Man City. We've scored the most goals, period, in this league. We've conceded the least goals. We've only lost 3 times in all competitions this season. Only 3 times. That is insane. So, we have to respect what the boys are doing, respect what Arteta's doing. And that's coming from me. Not always the biggest fan of what Arteta's doing. But we have had a tremendous season now. And, we've got 9 games left, 9 cup finals. And, I feel like all Arsenal fans, I feel like we're all in this place where we all kind of believe we're going to do it. But the nerves, the PTSD, the Naeem from the halfway line, the Robbie Fowler 5-minute hat-trick, Michael Owen double in the FA Cup within 2 minutes, the Birmingham 2011 Cup final, the Galatasaray UEFA Cup final in 2000, the Dennis Bergkamp missed penalty in 99, the Ryan Giggs run in the same game in 99, the Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank goal at Ellen Road in 99. There's so much PTSD, and that is what leads to the anxiety in the stadium. But it's all about the results rather than the performances. People need to remember as well that we are in 4 competitions still, and it's just about getting the job done. I'll take a Carabao Cup win on penalties right now. I'll snatch a hand off for that right now, as long as we win that game, because I think that game could be quite vital in how it influences the rest of the season. We have Brighton on Wednesday. I actually didn't even realise we were playing Brighton on Wednesday. I thought it was on the weekend we played them. That is going to be another spooky game, a very tight. I don't think we're going to win any game at a canter now. I think the game that we won last week against Spurs might be the last game where we actually thrash an opponent. Unless it's maybe the last day of the season and we've already been confirmed as champions, and we can kind of play with that level of freedom. Because there's absolutely no doubt about it that this team under pressure doesn't handle it very well in its current state. If we go on to win the title, that might change in seasons to come. But as it stands, until we get over that line, you're going to see performances that's reminiscent of yesterday, in these next, 8 or 9 games. But yeah, guys, Brighton next, like I said, it will be quite tricky. Tough away game to go to in any season. They're going to want to, create a scalp. They're going to want to, put a dent in our march. And So we have to make sure we're on our P's and Q's in that game. Man City, whilst we're going to a tricky game away from home, they are playing Nottingham Forest at home. You'd have to imagine, with all due respect to Forest, that City will get all 3 points. But let's not forget as well that City have not looked mind-blowing. They haven't looked amazing. They scraped a 1-0 win against Leeds, a game in which Leeds could have easily have had a penalty. They scraped past Newcastle the game before that. So they're not trailblazing at all themselves, and I think we're going to see even more twists and turns when the Champions League resumes, which is obviously, I think, a week away. So we're going to see a lot of twists and turns in this title race still, even with only 9 games to go. So, guys, strap on in, get yourselves ready. And like I said, guys, leave your comments in the comment section below and let me know how you're feeling. Are you confident still that we're going to go on and complete the job and win our first title in 22 years? Yeah, leave it in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Arsenal Bloodline. Plenty of more content to come. I'm Elts, and I'm out. See you later.